So as you all know, literature is all the craze these days. From the books written by Edgar Allan Poe to movies like The Lord of the Rings. But one thing that I don't get about literature is why we can't call video games a form of literature. Today, I've got one video game to prove all the naysayers wrong. Metal Gear Solid. Starting off with the first entry in the franchise, Metal Gear was created in 1987 by young developer Hideo Kojima and publisher Konami. Due to the hardware limitations at the time, Kojima was only able to put 2 enemies on the screen at a time, so he decided to improvise a little bit and he actually created a system where you had to avoid fighting, creating the first stealth game in history. The game was praised for its unique gameplay and story, starting one of the biggest franchises in video game history. Fast forwarding to 1990, a sequel was created for Metal Gear, named Metal Gear 2. The game was once again praised by gamers and critics alike because it improved in every way on the first game, gameplay and story and everything. There isn't much else to say than Metal Gear 2 was one of the best sequels in gaming history. Now 8 years later, in 1998, we were presented with Metal Gear Solid. It was praised for being one of the best games of all time when it came out for a PlayStation, and it's a PlayStation classic that won't be forgotten very easily. For the first time, we got to see our beloved protagonist Solid Snake in full 3D polygonal form. In Metal Gear fashion, the game didn't shy away from developing in every way. The story was again amazing, and with the gameplay being better than the predecessors. My favorite part in the game is the
Psycho Mantis
boss fight. And you know what, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's a game that everyone should experience for themselves. Moving on, Metal Gear Solid 2 was released in 2002. It was a great game, but many were disappointed. For the main character Solid Snake, a series staple was replaced with another character. I mean, it wasn't a really big deal for me personally, but some fans really took it to heart. The game was riddled with inside jokes by Hideo Kojima, and I mean, that's what really made the charm for the series. And Metal Gear Solid 2 was a great entry to move the series into the next generation, to the PlayStation 2. Metal Gear Solid 3 was released in 2004, and to be honest, it's my favorite entry in the series. Taking the players back to 1962, we followed the story of a young big boss. Wait, who's that again? Oh, the bad guy. Wait, what? Because of the different time period, there was a whole new cast. The gameplay was pretty much like Metal Gear Solid 2, but because of the jungle setting, there was a whole new survival mechanic added into the game. Snake had injuries, he got hungry, and it just really added a lot to the immersion. Speaking of immersion, there were a lot of little details that you can easily miss in the game, like how you can wait a week in real life for one of the bosses to die of old age, or that bit where you can give an enemy guard rashes to trigger a heartfelt cutscene, or even that weird dream part where boss. Yeah, I don't know how to put this in words. So I don't want to spoil any more of the story, so enjoy this clip where boss climbs a ladder for 2 minutes.
What a thrill. I'm searching and I'm melting to you. What a fear in my heart. But you're so supreme.
Yeah, moving on. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was released on 2008 for the PS3, and oh my god, look at those graphics. Oh Otacon, oh Ocelot, oh well, someone has grown up. Yeah, in this entry, we once again play as Solid, but this time he looks like he's 80 years old due to nanomachines working on his body. If this game taught me one thing, it is that being old sucks. See that stress bar? That's your worst enemy. The more Snake gets stressed, the weaker he gets, and his aim just... yeah. Even though this was the first Metal Gear Solid game on the PS3, it was pretty much like the old games, to be honest, with its same old gameplay and incredibly long cutscenes. It's been 30 minutes already! Now onto the last entry in the franchise. Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain was released on 2015, with a playable demo called Ground Zeroes released on 2014. And I'm not making this up, but Ground Zeroes was 1.5 hours long, and you had to pay $30 for it. Anyway, both of the games once again explored the story of Big Boss, but to be honest, the story was lackluster compared to the other games in the franchise. Where MGS5 actually shined was with its gameplay. With the first thing you start, you would realize how smart the guards are, reacting like actual people instead of robots. Many other features were also added, like the iDroid and various vehicles. Also with a massive but mostly empty open world. This gave the player a sense of freedom and a breath of fresh air, with infinite ways to complete your mission. My favorite way being sticking sticky bombs to the butts of baddies to blow them into oblivion. Call me chaotic good. Now, if I'm gonna be honest here, the series didn't really have a pleasant end. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Phantom Pain to death, but it really had a problematic development cycle. Throughout the creation of the game, some casualties occurred between Hideo Kojima, the creator of the series, and Konami, the publisher, eventually ending in Konami firing Kojima. While Kojima wanted to take his time creating the game, Konami just wanted to rush it out of the window cause money. With all that said, I gotta give some props to Konami too. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have gotten Metal Gear Solid in the first place. What the?